it kind of trickle over into the next class? Yes, it does. Math is one of those topics where things build upon themselves. So yes, you still might need some of the information from the previous class, but this is going to give you some additional things that you still need for chapter 1. So 1.2 it is, graphs of function. So we're going to talk about how do you use Desmos to plot points and how to graph things using Desmos, because you're going to need to be able to do that with the graphing tool. So here, let's do next slide. For some reason, when I first get in here, it doesn't like to go directly to the next slide. All right, there we go. We want to be able to plot the points and determine the shape that you're going to see with the points that you've plotted on the screen. So here, we're going to use Desmos. The graphing tool that the department uses is called Graph. I do not use Graph, but if you use Graph and you like it, that is perfectly fine. All right, so let's start here. You see on the screen an XY table that's a horizontal, not vertical, but it's a horizontal XY table. They give you a table, but they also give you a function or an equation. What's the function that they gave you? Or what's the equation that you see? Okay, so you got y equals x to the third power. What does it want you to do? Find the y-axis? Find the y values? Okay, so it says plot the values for x and y as the points for the coordinate plane, which means on the xy axis. And then it wants you to connect the dots. So do you have some numbers to plug in? Do you have some input values? Yes. Yes, they gave you all the input values. That means, are you going to have some outputs? Yes, you are. So if I give you input values and I give you an equation, what should you do? Plug them in. All right, so let's start plugging in. So if we plug in, what should we plug here? -3 raised to the third power. What is it?
-27.
All right, -27 goes in that box. Next, tell me what to put in the next box. -2 to the third power. -8 goes in the next box. What about the next one? -1. What's the next one? 0. And 1 times 1 times 1 for this one? All righty, 2 times 2 times 2. And 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, now I promise you, you'll have a homework problem very much like this. Instead of giving you y equals x to the third, it might have y equals x to the third plus 5. So you still do the math and plug in your numbers. You okay? All righty, so now it said to go plot these points. Do you have points on the screen? Yeah, an XY table are just points. What's the first point that you should plot? -3, comma, -27. What's the second point you should be plotting? Okay, the next one? Okay, gotcha. All right, so now what I want us to do is go to Desmos. So let me go find where my Desmos is. Let's see, where is it? So I gotta go find it. Here it is. Delete what was there. All righty, are you there? Tell me when you're there. I need you to pull up Desmos on your computer. You got to be able to do this. This is something you have to be able to do on your computer or iPad or whatever technology device you're using. You can even, Desmos will pull up on your phone. Now, you still won't be able to use your phone on tests. Y'all do know that, right? Okay, you cannot use your phone on the test. You better have a calculator and a computer or iPad, but you cannot use your cell phone. Yes? No, all my tests are hand tests. I grade everything by hand. You do not need a Scantron, not even for the final exam. Okay? All righty. So, are you here? Do you have Desmos on the screen? Did you remember how to get to Desmos? www.desmos.com. Click on Start Graphing, and you end up at this screen right here. Everybody there? All righty. I need to be able to put those points that we just created on the last slide. How do I put them there? Do you see this plus sign at the top left? Click on the plus sign. And do you see an XY table? Click on the table. Aha. Now you can plug in all the numbers that we had on the table that you saw on the previous screen. So we said we were going to put in -3, comma what? -27. And we said -2, comma, -8, -1, comma, -1, 0, comma, 0, 1, comma, 1, 2, 8, and 3, what? 27. All right. I have a question. How many points should I see on the screen?
7.
I should see 7. Do you see 7 dots on the screen?
No, we gotta change our graph.
Aha, we got to change our graph. What's wrong with it? Your window is too small. So because our window is too small, we got to adjust our window. So question, for the x values in the table, what should I set my x-axis to accommodate -3 to +3?
At least 27.
Okay, y'all, did I say y or x? Which one did I say? I said x. Okay, all right, let me say it again. For the x numbers, for the x values, from -3 to +3, what should I set my x-axis to be?
At least 3.
At least -3 to 3. Okay, so let's go into the wrench. See at the top right of your screen, there's a wrench. Those 2 numbers underneath the x-axis, see those 2 numbers there? That's on the there's an x in the middle. You got a number on this side and a number on that side. You get to decide what's the smallest number you want to put for x and what's the biggest number. Now for me, I'm always going to try to go a little bit bigger when I want to see all my points on the screen. When you get to the homework, use exactly the points they give you. But I'm saying right now, make it a little bit larger. So instead of going and putting -3, I'm going to put -6 to what? What you think?
6.
To +6. That's all I did. I went just a little bit above -3 and +3 for my x-axis. Now here's the other question. For the y-axis, what should I change? Here are my y-axis values down here. I've got it set for -13 to +16. What's my smallest y value on the table? And what's my biggest y value on the table? 27. So I got to at least make it from this way. From -27 to +27. What should I actually put in?
30.
I will put in -30 to 30. So change these numbers right here. -30 to +30. If you click out of that window, it'll now show you all the points. Do you see all 7? Okay. Now you can connect the dots and draw the graph. Well, how do I connect those dots? Do you see that there's a box you can come down to right here? See that there's an empty spot? Don't stay up there where the table is. Come down to the empty box below the table, right here, and type the equation that they gave us. What equation did they give you? Y equals, whoops, I'm typing in the wrong place. Y equals x raised to, how do you do raised to the power on your computer?
Over the 6.
You can do shift above your 6 if you're using your physical keyboard, or you can actually use the keyboard inside of Desmos. See where it says a to the 2nd or a to the b power? That can be raised to any power you want. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. It's up to you what you want to choose for that. So if I click on that, now it just lets me put a 3. Aha! What did it do? If you click off your keyboard, close your keyboard, it'll let you see the rest of your screen. It connected the dots for you. Got it? So, in order to see the curve or the graph of anything on the screen, do you have to have your window set properly?
Yes.
Yes, you do. So, in the next slide that we're going to do, we're going to pull this back up. So, look at the next slide. Bottom next slide. Your turn. Your turn. Now, yes. Raise to the 3rd power. Go back to the, hold on. See this little number right here? You can actually go to this keyboard and click on this button right here. You got to put your X in first and then click this button. Okay? And so we said we were going to go back to the PowerPoint. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to practice using Desmos. You've got 4 bullets. You got 4 equations. Now they give you the X and Y axis that they want you to set. So look at what's in the brackets. What's in the first equation? What's in the first set of brackets?
-10 and 10.
They want you to set the X axis from -10 to +10. What's in the second set of brackets?
-10.
They want you to set the Y axis from -10 to 30. and then see if your picture looks like it's supposed to look. So I'm gonna write up here what your graph should look like, and then you can tell me if you got the right one. Once you're done, go to the next bullet and type the next equation in and set the X and Y axis to what they said here. So here's what number 1 should look like. Well, let's see what the graph. All right, the first one should look like this. Number 2 should look like this. Number 3 should look something like that. And number 4 should look like that. If you got all 3 or 4 of those, then you got them right. Once you're done with one, delete it and go to the next one. But you got to be able to type them in yourself. And I'm saying you got to do this because in the homework, it's going to require that you do this. Now, also, when you get inside the homework, it's going to ask you to graph some of these inside of My Math Lab. So I kind of want to look at a couple of the questions to make sure you're okay with graphing them in My Math Lab. I want to see what questions you have as you're running into. Are you running into any questions while you're trying to do this?
Well, I mean,
What you thinking?
both of the X's are negative.
Both of the X values for which one?
The second one.
This one right here? That's -5 and a +5.
Well, if I shouldn't, I thought it would be the -5 and the -10 because they're both the inputs.
No. These are brackets. These are not parentheses. This is not X. This is not an ordered pair. I don't know why I keep using that one. These brackets are not 1, 2. That is not an X. And then the next one is another X. These are brackets. They don't have anything to do with the ordered pair. So the first bracket you see, this is for your X-axis. So remember I just showed you the screen and you saw a blank here and a blank here? So in the blank, you're supposed to put for the first one -10 here and then go and put +10 there. Remember I showed you where the wrench was? Go click on the wrench and based upon what's in that first bracket, that's what you should put. The second bracket is where the Y was in what I showed you on the screen, and you got to go put -10 and 30. That was in the second set of brackets. So you understand the first set of brackets are all X values. Just put -10 and 10.
-10 and 10?
Watch. Let me show you. Let me make sure y'all are thinking where I am. All right, so let me put this first one up here so you can see. Delete this because I don't need this one anymore.
Or was it -5 and 10?
Hold on. What's the first equation? X plus 20?
Right.
Okay, go over here to your wrench. Let me close my keyboard. Go over here to your wrench. What did it say I was supposed to put in the first bracket?
-10 and 10.
So change this number to a -10 and change this to a +10. In this set,
The second equation.
okay, in the second set, you're supposed to put what, -10 to 30?
Right.
Done. That's what you should have. Is that what you got? Okay, do the exact same thing for the next one. All right, so let me go back to the PowerPoint so you guys can see it. Alrighty, there you go. So when you get done, each of your pictures should look like what I have on the screen. If you get the right graph, you're good.
How you raise it?
How do you raise it? I have to raise it to power again. So here is, if you use your keyboard, it's Shift-6.
I'm sorry, can you go back to decimal? So let me see how you did first, how you put everything.
So here is back to decimals again. I just typed the equation just like it gave it to me, and then I went over to my wrench and changed those values to what was in the brackets. You got it? Okay, so now let's go back to the PowerPoint again so y'all can see each equation. How you coming?
The third one?
Uh-huh. Okay, watch. Good question. For the third one, how do you put the division sign in? Some of you probably already did it. So here, if I have an equation and I say y is equal to 3 and I hit slash below the question mark on your keyboard, hit slash. It's just a slash. It's just division sign, it's just slash. On your keyboard, your regular keyboard, there's a question mark. Hit below the question mark is a slash. That's your division line. So there you go. I'll delete this so I can go back to PowerPoint again so you can still see the rest of them. There we go. Oops, I don't need that. Okay? Questions? Did you get them all? I know some of you guys have already done them and you're fine. I'm going to come around and see for a second to see how far you guys are. I'm just trying to make sure you guys aren't having any issues, that's all. One of the reasons why I wanted you guys to get an opportunity to do this is because is Desmos new to you guys?
Yes.
Yes. So you kind of need to play with it to kind of see what's going to happen. Now, if you get a caution sign, what's a caution sign? If you get this big old yellow triangle, if you get a big old yellow triangle with an exclamation mark, you have typed something wrong. And it's not going to get rid of it until you fix it.
Was it supposed to be like this?
Which one?
The second one? I'm
Yeah.
still on the second one. Oh, you got answers available.
Those are the answers on the board. If you get those and you're good, you can go to the next one. Now here's the key. Because I'm recording this, if this is taking you a lot of time, you got to go back and practice this by yourself. Okay, because we want to be able to actually type it in, put those X and Y axis numbers in, boom, you got it. So you got to go back and be able to practice it when you have some time where you can take your time, you don't feel stressed, you ain't rushed, and you can put them in one at a time slowly. And you won't have to feel like there's no pressure at all. All right, question. I saw a hand up. Was there a question? Because I'm going to go ahead to the next slide and then we can come back to this.
Like multiple graphs? Because it has different, like 3 and 4 on
You can put all of them on the same graph at the same time. I don't recommend it because then you get them all jumbled up. Because then you have this picture, then on top of that is this picture, on top of that is this picture. I prefer you delete them one at a time. All righty. So if you're not finished, hold that thought. You get to get this and then you go back and practice it by yourself. Okay? Here we go. Next slide. Did we say this was a word problem class? I did say that, right? Okay, so everything
mathematical model.
is mathematical model. Everything in here relates back to something in real life. So here we go. Did we go over the steps for how to start solving a word problem? Okay, we did. So what's our step 1?
Read it.
Read the problem. All right, let's read it. The number Y in the millions of women in the workforce. What is Y again?
Millions.
Millions of women in the workforce. Okay, women in the workforce. And that Y value is given by the function Y equals 0.06x to the 2 power minus 0.018x plus 5.607, where x is the number of years after 1900. All right. Now, what was the first thing next we were supposed to make sure? After you read the problem, and sometimes you got to read it more than once, what are you supposed to do next?
Understand.
Make sure you understand it. Do you understand this topic? They're talking about the number of women in the workforce during specific years. That's all. That's the topic. So, bullet number 1. Well, before I go to bullet number 1, did they give you anything? We didn't talk about what you were given. What you were given. What are you given?
You're giving an equation.
You're given an equation, okay? So I know I'm given an equation, and I don't want to write the whole equation since you got it. So you know what the equation is, right? What else did they give you? They gave you an X. What did they say X meant?
Number of years
X equals the number of years
after 1900.
after when?
1900.
Number of the years after 1990. Alrighty. We don't care about people that worked in the 1800s? No, we don't. We don't care about the women then. Alright, so here's your equation, 0.06 x squared, And did they give me what the meaning of y is?
Yes.
What is it?
0.
Millions.
Well, that's the equation.
Number of women.
Okay, I want the number of women in the workforce in the millions. Number of women in the workforce, and this is in millions. Okay, all right. So I got what the x value means, I got what the y value means, and I have the equation that they gave me. All righty, are you going to be asked to do something? Yes, you are. Okay, go ahead. It says find what?
X, or the value of y of X.
X is 44.
Okie dokie. So are you going to do something?
Plug in.
Next one says, what are you going to do?
Plug in.
This was part 3. Number 4 says, what are you going to do? What you going to do?
Plug in your X values.
Plug in x equals 44 where?
Everywhere there's an X.
Okay, into the equation, everywhere there's an x. All right, what's the 5th step say do? Do the math. Alrighty, so we got our steps. 1 and 2 we did already. So now you got to go plug in 44. Somebody use a calculator, tell me what that is. You got to be able to do it on your calculator. Okay, on your calculator. Did somebody get it already? I need you to type it on your calculator because on the test you will have to type this on your calculator. Yeah, someone was asking me what calculator to get. My preference is the calculator that lets you see what you type in, and when you hit enter, it doesn't delete it. You understand what I mean? Like you might have typed it in and think you typed it all right, and you got something out of place. At least when you hit enter, you can go back and look at what you typed and see if you actually put a wrong number or you put a plus where you should have put a minus sign. So it doesn't have to be a huge window, but just a window that'll let you actually see what you typed in. Trying to see if I still got
I think it's,
my window with my calculators. Did I delete it? 16. I was just trying to pull up a calculator so you guys could see. Can you guys see this calculator right here? See how you can see what you typed? And it gave me the answer to the right, but it left what I typed on the screen. That's what I'm saying. So it could be something like that. What is this, $16 at Walmart?
I work at Walmart. It's not really
How much is it?
it's like $25.
Okay, $25. Okay, that's still in the ballpark. I mean, the price right here says $16 in shipping online. So I'm just saying, don't spend $200 on a calculator. Just find one that lets you see what you type. You need to be able to see it just in case you make a mistake. You want to be able to see what you type. All right, so back to, where was I? All right, somebody give me the answer? Well,
16.42.
Okay, so when x is equal to 44, how many women in the workforce?
44 is
16 point what?
Oh, 16.431.
Is there 16 women in the workforce? There's just 16 women in the workforce.
Millions.
Oh, okay. 16.431 million women. Okay. 16.431 million women in the workforce. When?
After 1900.
When after 1900? 1944. Because we said that X was equal to 44, and we defined X as the number of years after 1900. So 44 years after 1900 is 1944. That's how many women in the workforce. Alrighty, bullet number 2, use the same model, which means use the equation we already have to find the number of women in the workforce when?
2010.
Well, here's the question. Do I plug X equal 2010 into my calculator? Say no. Okay, so what should I plug in?
The number of years.
110.
I need the number of years. Do I plug in what? How do you know that?
1900, 2010.
2010 minus 1900 is how much?
110.
110. So everywhere there's an X, you put 110. So X equal. So go back to your calculator, put in 110 everywhere there's an X. Somebody tell me how many women in the workforce.
76.227.
Okay, so Y equals 76.227 million women in the workforce. Ain't nobody home with the kids. Okay? Could I do the same thing for today? If I said I want to know how many women in the workforce in 2018, could I do the same thing? Yeah, what number would I plug in? 118. Now, here's the question. You're like, why do we even need to know this? Now, you personally may not need to know this, but why would our country care? Why would our state care how many women working and how many women not working? Again, just purposes of, from a medical perspective. Does it affect the medical perspective if more women are working? How does it affect us from a medical perspective? Are more women being hospitalized? Are more women getting sick? Are less women getting sick because they're working? Or is it affecting our children because more women are in the workforce? Is it affecting how our kids get educated? So there are plenty of people want to know how many women are working today. You may not care, but there are people who do care. So, yes.
I'm not gonna apologize, but in order for me to get that, you need to write it on the board so I can get it. Instead of you writing it like that, X equals 11 of years after 1900, you go back step by step.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you're saying instead of just writing X equals 44 and then Y equals 16.43,
Do how you would do it in the.
what I'm saying here
Write the
is,
equation down and then go by the steps.
now here's the step. The step is where I said plug in 44. The step is I'm gonna in the place of plugging in where it says do the math. Here's doing the math. I'm literally gonna put 0.006.
Okay.
Now again, that shouldn't stop you from being able to do that. That's what I'm saying. You should still be able to put this in your calculator. Where am I at right now? 0.0184
Right.
plus. Okay, now
Okay.
you put that in the calculator.
Okay.
Gotcha?
I'm just visual, that's all.
Gotcha. So that's what what about 2010? What had to go in the calculator for 2010? 110. So again, change that number to 110
Okay.
and then change it over here to that one. Gotcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we did say for 2018, it had what we had to put in? 118. All righty. Now, the question that I want to ask you is, were you able to put it into your calculator okay? Okay, I'm only saying that because test time, you got to be able to put this in your own calculator. You cannot use your computer calculator. You cannot use your phone calculator. You have to use your own handheld calculator. Okay? Questions? All right, you good? I'm asking you that because in the next slide, did you understand what Y meant?
Yes.
What did it mean?
Millions.
Millions of what?
Women working.
Okay, how many millions of women were in the workforce? What was X representing?
Number of years.
After 1900, and then of course we plugged it in and we figured out what that was. This is asking us the same thing again to make sure we understood what we did. Alrighty, next one. Those other previous slides just keep asking us again and again, do you understand, do you understand, do you understand? Okay, what we gotta do first?
Read the problem.
Read the problem. Okay, let's read the problem. The function p equals 5.8t plus 7.13 gives the percent of households with internet access. Okay? All right, let me plug my computer up. So I want to know the percentage P. Why do you think they chose the letter P? Okay, percentage. So we chose the letter P based upon percentage. All right, so instead of X and Y, they chose P and T. Now again, the P represents the Y and the T represents the X. Okay, just making sure you understand it, because on the computer in my math lab, they're going to use different letters. So just make sure you understand what means what. All right, so the function P equals 5.8T plus 7.13 gives the percent of households with internet access as a function of T. And T happens to be the number of years after 1995. Why do we not care about what happened before 1995?
Because it said that.
Because it did say after. And now think logically for a second. When did we first start getting internet at the house?
1995.
Well, did we have internet in 1995? I don't remember if I had internet at the house in 1995. But again, I don't know the exact year, but they've chosen for this particular problem to say after then, because obviously somebody started getting it after 1995, because I don't know what year we started having access internet at the house. Okay. Are we okay with what we read the problem? You understand it? You understand what the P is? What the T is? And what the equation that they gave us? Alrighty, bullet number 1. They're going to ask you to do something. All right, what are the values of T that correspond to the years 1996 and 2014? Alrighty, so here is my question to you. What are the values of T? All right, let's go back to, you had to read the problem. We did it. You had to understand it. And then we had to say what we were given. And you said we were given what?
Problem.
Okay, we were given the problem. Tell me more. I was given the equation, so they gave me this. P equals 5.8 T plus.
7.13.
Okay, what else did they give me?
They gave you the T.
They gave me a T. What does T represent? Okay.
Number of years.
Number of years. After when?
1995.
All right, 1995. What else? What does P represent? What does it mean?
Percentage.
Okay, it's just a percentage of what? Households with internet. I'm just going to put households with internet. Okay, all right, we got what we're given. In the first bullet, they're going to ask you to do something. Usually, whenever they ask you to do something, they either want some input or some output. You either want input numbers or output numbers. A lot of cases, they want output numbers. What do you think they're asking for in part in bullet number 1? Are they asking you for output values or input values? Okay, let's read it. What are the values of T that correspond to the years 1996? You need the input values because it asks you for T. T is years. Years, is the answer or not the answer? Is the output value going to be years? No, the output value is the percentage of households with internet access. That's our output. So we're going to do years as our input value. So they want to know for the year 1996, what is the corresponding T value? I want to make sure you guys understand what I'm saying. T is the number of years when?
After 1995.
So how many years is 1996 after 1995? 1 year. How did you get that number? You subtract. 1996 subtract 1995 gives you. Okay, so here is for 1996. What's my T value? 1. Alrighty. For year 2014, what's my T value? What do you do to find it? Subtract. So I'm going to subtract 2014 and 1995. All right, somebody do the math for me. 2014 minus 1995. How many years is that? 19 years. All righty. So for 2014, that's 19 years. That's your T value. You okay? So the answer to bullet number 1 was what two numbers? Answers were 1 and 19. Homework is going to ask you to do the exact same thing. Alrighty, you're okay with bullet 1?
Yes.
All right, bullet number 2. Bullet number 2 says P equals F of 10. It says the percentages for what's inside the parentheses where you see that F of 10. What does that 10 mean? Is it an input value? It is an input value. Does it reference years? Yes. Yes, it is years. So what am I supposed to do with that 10? I am going to eventually plug it in for T, but what does it mean? If T is 10, what does it really mean?
Gives the value of P.
Let's read that question and see if I understand what they ask. It says the percentage P is equal to F of 10, gives the value of P for what year? For what year? They want to know what year does 10 represent. If T is 10, what year is that? No, remember what's the definition of T? What's the definition of T?
The number of years after, so it's 2005, right?
Okay, so how many years after this? 10 years? 10 years after?
1995.
Okay, 10 years after 1995. 10 years after 1995 is 2005. Alrighty. So it said when T is equal to 10, what year does that represent? That's all they were asking you. When T is equal to 10, what year does that represent? Whatever is inside the parentheses is always input. And did we say T is input? Yeah, T is input. What's output? P is always output. So for 10 years after 1995 is 2005 or 2005. Now the second part of that second bullet says, now what is F of 10? What should you now do? Plug 10 into where? Okay, so now I gotta plug 10 into what? Into the equation. Okay, plug 10 into the equation. All right, there's your equation. So I've got P, here's part 5, do the math. P equals 5.8 times, do I put a 10 here?
Yes.
Okay, plus 7.13. Somebody do the math on the calculator.
So 65%.
Okay, 65.13 what? Percent of households have when?
After 1995.
Which is what year? Okay, so in English that just says in 2005, 65.13% of households had internet access. Does that make sense though? Yes. Could I figure out how many people have access in 2010? What would I do?
So change that 10 to
Change-
whatever year, how many
It would
years
be
it is.
20.
Change that 10 to how many years 2010 is after what?
15.
How many years is that after 2010 is how many years after 1995?
Oh, 2015.
15. So you would replace the 10 with a 15. And then we'd have to know how many. So then you plug in that. Questions, what are you thinking?
Lord.
But it's a relevant topic. That's the point is to make these questions relevant to stuff that you would have experienced today. It's still relevant.
You have another example?
Another example of something like this, and I'm using this example because there's one just like it in the homework. So usually you'll see the examples that I put up here is exactly like what you'll see in the homework. It could be any other topic. I could say, what's something else that everybody didn't have years ago they have today? When did we start having cell phones? My child I ain't never had a cell phone when I was in middle school, elementary school. Kids got cell phones at 2nd grade. So I'm just saying you could do the same thing with when did we first start getting cell phones? Do y'all remember? Some of y'all way too young to know when we started getting cell phones. But I don't remember when we started getting cell phones.
2005.
It's 2018. Was it 10 years ago? Was it 15 years ago that we started having cell phones? My first cell phone was a big cell phone. It was a big bulky cell phone. It was nowhere near what we carry around right now.
At first, they used to have the car phones.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I remember when laptops were the size of, I mean, it used to be like huge. But that's off the subject. But you do get what we were saying, that to use a different type of problem, we could use cell phones like you said. Alrighty, questions? When I say you're gonna have one just like this in the homework, same exact type of problem.
But, so this 1.2?
This is 1.2. Alrighty, questions?
I have a question. So
Yes.
the first bullet point, how did you know to subtract? Like if I'm reading this and you weren't explaining it, how would I know that I need to subtract 96 to 2014 from 95 to get whatever the years were?
Okay, so whenever you see the letter T, it's always gonna represent some value subtracted from the original number they gave you.
Just T by itself though.
Because it's always going to be time. And throughout this course, T will usually be time, whether it be seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years. It will always be time. So in any case where they give you this and this T, there's going to be a Google of problems and it's going to say X or T or whatever letter they use is always going to be the number of years after something. That key number will always be this number right here, whether it's a 95, 2018, 1900. You always gonna have to use this number as your basis to subtract these numbers.
So is it asking what is the number of years between 95 and 1996, 95 and 2014?
Yes.
That's basically what it's asking.
Yes. How many years between these two numbers? This number and that number. But your question was, how did you know to subtract?
Right, I mean, it didn't say subtract or what's the difference or anything like that, so I just wouldn't have thought to subtract by reading it.
Okay, so let me look at it from a different perspective. If you had to graph this equation, and can we graph it? Based upon what you just learned about Desmos, can I graph that equation in Desmos?
Yeah.
What I do, just type it in? Sure, type it just like you see it. Now, when you go to graph these, so I'm kind of off the subject a little, not off the subject, but showing you from a different perspective. When you actually go into Desmos and put this in Desmos, here's my graph. I'm making up a graph here. Here's my x-axis. And instead of calling it a x and y-axis, what are they calling them?
P and T.
Here's the t-axis because they're calling it t. But it's really the same thing as x. So these are your t values referencing along here. Okay? What are these values going to be along here? These are your percentages. Okay? So these are my p for my percentages along here. Now what this is saying is that you can't put 1995, 96 on these. You can't put 1996, 97, 98, 99. They don't want to see any of the years. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hold on, just hold that thought for a second. They don't ever want to see the actual years written on the number line, on the graph of the x-axis. They just want you to give me a number that represents it. So, what's the first number that we concerned about for looking at this data associated with internet in the house? 1995. So if that's the year you're going to start with, that's my 0 year. Because we in 1990, let's say we were in 1995, that's my 0 year. They don't want to see these, but I want to put numbers on the graph like it's a number line. So 1995 is how many years from 1995? 0. Well, what about 1996? How many years is 1996? Here will be 96. How many years is 1996 from 1995? 1. All right, so that's year 1. How many years is 1997? 2. And let me put it down here so you can see it because this is actually a 1. 2 would represent 1990. 3 would represent 1990. 4 would represent 1990. Do you see where we're going? How many years is 1997 from 1995? 2 years. How many years is 1998 from 1995? 3 years. Your graph will never let you put 1999, 95, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. It just wants you to give me a representation of those years. So if I go all the way to 2014 using these numbers, what should the number be here that represents 2014? What did we say it was?
19.
What was it again? 19. Alrighty, so if I go all the way out here, this is my 19 years. So from here to here, the distance from this year to 1995 is 19 years. Do you understand what I'm saying now? You can only put,
Got it, but I just didn't understand by reading that question, we had to do that.
but that's what I wanted to make sure that you understood. That's what they're trying to get you. Give me a number that corresponds to the year, because I don't want to use the year itself. Go ahead, y'all, help me out. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem. What do you guys think?
Why does it say correspondent?
It means
The difference.
it's the difference. It means match this number with 1996. Match this corresponds. The number 2 corresponds to 1997. The number 3 is 3 years after 1995. The number 4 is 4 years after 1995. So it's the corresponding number of years. Remember, we said T is the number of years. This is the only thing that this is telling you here is these numbers only represent the number of years when.
After 95.
So if you have a graph after 1995, so all I want to know is these is 1 year after 1995, this is 2 years after 1995, this is 3 years after 1995. You see what I'm saying? So there's a year that's going to correspond with this. 3 years after 1995 is what? 98.
Where did the 10 come from again that we plugged in?
Oh, it gave it to us. It gave it to us as f of 10. So it said 10 years later. So we did 5, 6, let me put this 4 over here, 7, 8, and I don't have an exact graph, 9. If I keep going out, 9, 10. And we can keep going until we hit 2014 over here, which we said was 19. Excuse me, right over here. This was 19, and this was 2014. So just remember, what's on this number line that you see here for the x-axis is only the number of years after 1995. This is 2 years after, 3 years after, 4 years after, 5 years after, 6 years after, 7 years after. But it's got to correspond to a specific year. So again, like we said, 3 years after is 98. 4 years after is 99. 5 years after is 2000. You see what I'm saying? So now, back to your question, like, well, how would I know? Because it wants to know, what does this number correspond to in year? Is this the 99th year, the 96th year? Is this 96, 97, 98, 99? Which year is this?
That was 96, wasn't it?
And then what's this one? So when it says to correspond, you've got to write this out for 1 year later, 2 years after, 3 years after, 4 years after, and tell me what the corresponding year that represents each of these numbers. So instead of actually subtracting, you could just wrote these out and say, well, that's 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, and win it that way, and you still would have got to 2014, and you would have got to 19. Okay? And the reason why you see it written like this, because when you go to Desmos, it's not going to let you put 98, 99, 100, those years. It wants numbers like these. From 0, 1, 0 to 100, 0 to whatever. It doesn't want years. Actually, the 2018, it just wants that. All right, questions? All right, go to the homework because I want to see where you are, because this is the end of 1.2, so we just finished. Yes?
What was the last one? The X minimum?
Oh, okay, we didn't do the last bullet. X minimum and the X maximum says, how wide should your window be? What were the original years that we start talking about in bullet 1? What's the years?
96.
96 to when?
14.
So how wide should my window be? It should be 19 wide, but what's my first number? What's my last number? That's what the minimum number should start with. What's the maximum number you need? That's the max. So it just says how wide should the x-axis be? So 0 to 19. Well, let's see, is this? It wants 2015, so you got to go to 20. So over here, this will be 20 years after 1995 is 2015. All right. I know that's a lot to take in, but I want you to go to the homework because you're going to see some of this in the homework. I want to make sure you're.
So just to clarify for the last one, the answer would be between what?
So you're going to give an actual answer. It's going to say in the homework, it's going to say what your X minimum should be, and it's going to give you a box and tell me what it should equal. And then it's gonna say, what's the X max should be?
So the minimum should be 95, or zero?
Your X value, not the year, just your X. X value represents your T. Remember your input. Your input is not 95, 96.
So the max would be like 15.
The max would be, in that case, look at our max. To get all the way to 2015, how many years after 1995 is that? You're literally just subtracting 2015 from 1995, and you end up with 20 years. And over here, we started with 1995, subtract 1995. So, what's my X minimum? What's my X maximum? For just those two numbers. So I'm gonna put in the computer for that answer, this is gonna be 20. It just wants to know how wide your window should be. When you graph it, minimum is the smallest X value you should start with. Maximum is the largest X value that you need to go up to. Go ahead, I'm listening.
But we're talking about the years after 1995, so it would be one.
Well, I'm saying, you could say one if we had put this as 96. If I had said 1996, that would have been a 1. But how many years is 1995 after 1995?
Oh,
0. So if I had had a 6 here,
Oh, I see.
if it had been a 6 here, you would have said 1. But that's 1995, and there are no years after 1995 and 1995. They're the same year. So it should be 0. So your x-axis for the graph will be from 0 to 20 for that range of years. Now again, you could have wrote it out longhand and be like, okay, 0 is going to be 1995, 1 year later is going to be 96, 2 years later is going to be 97, all the way till you got to 2015, and oh, that's 20 years later. Okay. Questions before we go to the homework? All right, pull up your Math 1.2 homework. Let's just take a look at it because I want you to, let's see, where was I with that one? Your what?
My math lab,
It's giving you a hard time.
I still haven't got in. I tried to log in on 2 different regular computers, and it was like the code was invalid. So I emailed the folks. I called them actually, then there's like emails.
Did they respond to your phone call? Did they respond to your phone call?
Yes, long story short, I emailed them. They were like, it's because you already have the code redeemed.
Okay, so hold that thought and let me talk to you about that one towards the end of class, just because we can't address it right now. All righty, so here we go. There are 11 questions for homework 1.2. Let's just kind of get a glance at what you should expect to see. Did we do a problem like this at the beginning of class?
Well,
Y'all forgot already?
no, it's the second part. It's the second part of it.
Okay, but did we start out? So again, did you get an equation with some boxes that you had to do the math and fill in the boxes?
Yes.
Aha, you did get that. Okay, so let's do that.
I ain't never seen that before.
All right, so let me make this bigger so I can fill in the boxes. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and fill these in because you're going to have to fill them in for yours. Yours should be similar to mine. Your number might be +5, -2 for yours, but I'm just going to go ahead and fill mine in. All right, so that's going to be -27 + 5 should be -22. That's going to be -8 + 5 should be -3. -1, that should be 4.
Wait, were we getting
I'm doing,
Oh, you plugged them.
I'm plugging in.
Oh, you plugged them in.
Yeah, I'm just plugging them in. I'm just doing the math in my head, that's all. All right, that's going to be 5, and that's going to be 6, and that's going to be 13. 8 + 5 is 13, and then that's going to be 27 + 5 is 32. Is that right? Y'all check my math. Is that right? All right, so that's all you had to do for that part. All righty, check the answer. He likes it. Then it says, use the graphing tool on the right to actually plug these points into the graph. Okay.
So lost on that part.
So here, it says click to enlarge the graph. I need it bigger so I can see it. I still need it bigger than that. All righty. Now, because it says y to the 3rd power, again, you didn't know this other than from the graph that you saw. And I'm gonna write this up here so you'll have this information. If you have y equals x, it could be x plus or minus anything, it's gonna look like a straight line. If it's y equals x to the 2 power, it's gonna look like this or like that. If it's x to the 3rd power, it's gonna always look something like that. So those are the 3 main ones. Here are the others that you may see. If it's this, absolute value of x is gonna look like a v. So I'm giving you enough so that you know what to do. If the original equation was y equals x to the 3rd power, which one of these shapes is it gonna look like? Little squiggly. Click on the squiggly. How many points or dots do you see on that squiggly? Oh, you see 4. So how many points are you gonna need to plot? 4. So if it was a straight line, how many points would you need to plot? 2. So again, if it was a U-shaped curve, which is a parabola, how many points would you need? 3. Okay, so because ours is y to the 3rd, I'm going to click on that little doohickey right there. Once you click on it, get back on your graph. Just drag your cursor over to the graph. Now, can you see in the yellow box that my numbers are changing as I move it? Yes? Now, what I got to do is I got to go graph how many? 4 of the points that I just created from my XY table.
It already told you to do 4.
Look at what we said here. How did we pick 4? How do we know it's going to be 4? We selected this little doohickey. How many dots do you see?
4.
Only need 4 points. So pick 4 out of the points that you have on your graph. Pick 4 of them that you can plot. Now, 2 of them you're not going to be able to plot. Why? Let me scroll. Let me do this down again. Why can't I do all of my points?
You can't do the big ones because you don't have enough space.
Thank you. You can't do. Look at my negative 22. Can you see I can't do the negative 22 because it don't go up to down to negative 22? Can you see I can't do the 32 either because it don't go up to 32? So I can only pick from the other 5 that I have.
So the ones in the middle.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna start with negative 2 comma 3. So we clicked on this little doohickey here. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna go to negative 2. How do I know when I hit it?
It'll show you at the top.
It should be in the yellow box. Negative 2 over that, and negative 2 down 3. Once I get to it on there, then click it. All right. Now, you got to be sensitive with it right here because you be done clicked it and accidentally moved your finger by accident. So now click it. It got that one. Pick another one. Negative 1 comma 4. So I'm going to go negative 1 to 4. Here's my negative 1 up 4. Oh, I slipped over. There it is. Click it. What's my next one? 0 comma 5. All right, I'm going to go to that one. There's 0, 5. Click it. And then I'm going to go 1 comma 6. Over 1 up 6. Click it. Done. Hit save. All righty. Got it. You got to go back and practice this. All righty. So I hit save. Check my answer. And it likes it. So you only had to pick 4 of those that you could plot.
Do we have to look at the word problem?
All right, so that was that one. Let me just kind of scroll through here to see what you got. Oh, there's the next one. Look at this next one. Let me open that window all the way up. Hold on.
Do we have time to do the word problem?
We'll get to whatever we got. We still got a couple more minutes, so we got time. I'm just kind of scrolling through here just to kind of see what you guys are going to be asked to do. So if it says graph it, where you going to go if it says graph it? Let's see, we already did that. Oh, now we got to go pick the right picture. All right, you got to pick the right picture now.
I think it was A, right?
All right, now look at what it told you to do. Go graph it. Are you going to go graph it over here again? You already did. It wants you to go where? To Desmos. It wants you to go to your graphing tool, type this equation. It tells you what the X window needs to be and the Y window. Can you see? So your X axis would be from where to where?
Negative 4 to positive 4.
And what should your Y axis be?
Negative 35 to positive 4.
And type that equation. You should see your picture in Desmos. Which one of your Desmos picture matches these? Which one? So again, you would have to type yours in and see which one is the better match. We're saying it should be C. Check it. Let me check my answer here. There we go. All right, we good? All right, so let me scroll and see what's in the next couple. All righty, you know what to do with that one, right? It says complete the table. What does it mean? Plug in numbers?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, this one, graphic. Where you gonna go to graphic? Desmos. There's a question here that we didn't talk about. State whether the graph has a turning point or not. What's a turning point? Think logically for a second. What would a turning, where it changes directions? If it's going up, is it gonna turn and come down? That's a turning point. So if you look at Desmos and it says, where's the turning point? Let me go to Desmos again because I want you to see that particular one. All right, here. If I go back and put in x raised to the third power, and let me fix my graph. Let me go back to home. We had another one in here. What was it? Plus 13x to the 2 power raised to the 2. Oh, plus 15. All right, I'm just trying to make this window so you can see. All right, let me change this for a second. Let's make this 200. Not big enough yet. 500. All righty, here we go. Can you see the top and the bottom of the curve?
Yes.
Can you see the top? Can you see the turning points? There's one right there. Usually if you click on it, Desmos will tell you what it is. Now, in most cases, yours won't always be decimal values. They should be distinct numbers that you can tell. But there's one turning point. Where's the other turning point? There at the bottom. So if it asks you for turning points, type the graph in Desmos, see where it goes up and down. That's what you're looking for. Those are turning points. If it says, what's the maximum? What point should you be looking for? The highest point, literally. The highest point that you see, which was this one. So if it asks you for the maximum Y value, you're going to put 340.481.
It wouldn't be all the way at the top.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah, you see the point. That's into infinity.
I know, but they want you to know the top of the turning, the curve, the highest peak. Let's say the highest peak that you see.
Right.
So again, if you see a,
Where that other one?
right, that's going to go to infinity like you said, but where's the highest peak that you see? It would be the top of that curve. Okay, so now let me go back to the homework again and go back to where I was. Let me see. I think I was here. All right, let's see what the next one looks like. Same thing, only different graph. Can you see that you're going to have a different picture? Look at that one, 6 over x squared plus 3. It's going to look like one of these 4 pictures right here. Make sure you type it in Desmos right so you can pick the right picture. And it's going to ask you where the turning point in the window is. It's a division sign. 6 divided by x squared plus 3.
Can you type that one in this one?
All right, we know how to do this one. Here is
How do you raise that power?
shift 6. So shift 6 here. That's going to put a 2 there. What was it, x plus 3? All right, can't see nothing. Why? Window. What's the turning point? Where's your turning point? Done.
So now you go back, now 0, 2 is an option.
When you say 0, 2 is an option, would you say go back and do what now? Say it again.
No, it has to state whether it's turning point.
It is. Well, did you say you agreed with me it was a turning point?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. And then what was your other question?
Where is it going?
But the graph, I thought you'd go back.
Yeah, you got to go back and pick the right graph. So if we go back, there is, where was that one? Yeah, now you got to pick the right graph. Is it this one?
There's delta.
It looks like D.
Is it this one? No, it's this one.
It's D.
Yeah, it's that one. Now you should make it bigger so you can see it a little bit better.
Between B and D.
Why can't it be B?
Oh, I see. It went
These curves went underneath the x-axis. So yeah, just make sure you take a good look at your graph.
How do you turn into a fraction on this one?
Do a slash. underneath your question mark on your keyboard. See the slash? All righty, and
then
here,
you change that power, you said this the other day, you change that x squared, that x cubed.
to anything you want. If you do shift 6, you can put a whatever number you want. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift 6 will let you put whatever number you want here.
After you do the x.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's see what else is in there. All right, you can type this one in Desmos and set the window. Did you see it gave you the X values to set your window for? It didn't give you the Y values on purpose. They want you to pick the right set of Y values. The first brackets are the X values. Those are not order pairs. X values in the first set of brackets. All the Y values for the range of what you need your Y window to be are the second brackets. You got to pick which set you want to make for that window. Put it in Desmos and see what's the best picture. You got to pick the best picture.
You just
So
plug
that
it in.
question right there, for the X values between 13 and 13, that would be when I go to my tool and adjust it.
Yes. Yes. Go to your wrench and adjust it to whichever one you want to adjust it to.
But you just plug them in, right? To get the wire?
No, they want you to tell me what's the best window. We're not asking you to plug anything in. I want to know how big do you want the window to be so you can see the picture. So if the window is big enough, can you see the whole picture? What if the window not big enough? Then you can only see that part of the picture. So they're saying, I'm going to tell you that negative 13 to positive 13 is this big. What do you want this part to be? So they give you some other choices. You want it to be from negative 90 to positive 90? Do you want it to be from negative 90 to 0? What you want the x-axis to be, the y-axis to be?
Really don't understand.
Okay?
You type it in Desmos,
Yeah, you got to go type this equation in Desmos. Back again. Here is Desmos. What was that? Let's see, delete this one. Y equals x raised to the third power. What is the rest of it? Minus 5. Backspace. Come down. Minus 5x to the 2 power. Plus something. I'm just putting up plus 13. Alrighty. Now, can you see the whole curve everywhere on the screen? No. So it's saying how big do I need, how tall do I need to make this window so you can see the top of that curve?
So right now what we're looking at is a dimension of 5. We can only see in specs of 5. So
I get that part. I understand.
Well,
I
well,
get that part.
okay, but I'm saying it's counting. It just doesn't show you this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But how big do I need to make this? And let me put the actual number in from the homework assignment. Hold on.
But you was just go to the wrench and type it in, right?
Yeah, we are. Hold on. Okay, 3x squared minus 45x. Hold on. Let me go back and fix it. Minus 45x. It was minus 45x. Did I get the other part right? Okay, plus 3x squared. All right, hold on. All right, so that's a plus. That's a 3. Delete the 5. And that's a plus sign. All right, so there's the picture that you can see. Can you see enough of the curve? No. Go to your wrench. Whoops, I accidentally moved it. Go to your wrench. It told you what to put the x-axis as. It said negative 13 to positive 13. All right, now, can you still see all of the curve? No. It gave you 4 choices of answers to change the y-axis. So here are, go over here to your wrench and figure out what you need to make these numbers. They gave you 4 choices to pick from. Do you want it to be from negative 90 to 190? Do you want it to be from negative 90 to 0? What do you want me to put in for that? So let's go back and look at the homework question again.
So you just plug in each one until
Till you see the right size window. So I'm gonna make this y numbers be negative 90 to 190, see if I can see all the window. Or I could change it to negative 90 to 0. I could change it negative 10 to positive 10 or 0 to 190. Which one do you think is gonna let me see the best picture?
Negative 10.
So let's see. If we put in 1 so you can try it. If you put in negative 10 to positive 10, you think that's gonna give me enough of the window?
no.
There it is. Okay, so let's try. Which one do you want to try now?
The 190. I think it was
You want to do 0 to 190? All right, it is 0 to 190. All right. Do you see all of it? No. So you keep plugging in. So let's do negative 90 to 190. That was one of my choices. Can you now see the whole curve?
So that's just the answer.
The answer is, what does this say? We already knew it, got the 13. What answer did you pick?
The negative 90 to 190.
This one, negative 90 to 190. So you got to pick the answer that had the brackets with the negative 90 to 190.
So all the question is asking is how can you see the whole curve?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you need to make the y-axis be so you can see the whole picture?
So are these exercises to familiarize us with Desmos only?
No.
I mean,
No, this just so happens this topic actually uses the graphing tool. And so even if you were using a different graphing tool like the rest of the department uses, you would still have to do the same thing. So it would, yes, it is familiarizing you with Desmos, but at the same time, we want you to be able to say, if I give you an equation, can you tell me how big the picture frame needs to be so you can see the whole picture? It's like if I take a picture of you and only this part of your face is in it. Well, how much do you need to increase the screen so you can get your whole face in the picture?
Literally guessing like we did.
Huh?
I was literally just punching them in. I hate to
Well,
say guessing,
You're definitely, at this point you are. Now, I knew when I saw it which one to pick because I've done this enough. But again, I'm getting you to think how wide to be able to see everything. Which one has the widest stretch of numbers? Look at this one. Which one has the biggest stretch of numbers?
Negative 90.
Negative 90 to 190. So it's got to include everything. So that's the one I would have picked right off the bat. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That would have been your educated guess. Negative 10 to 10 ain't going to let you see much of nothing. You got this much window. You have your face cut off. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's what you had to do here with that one. So it's requiring that you do just a teeny tiny bit of stretching you just a little bit. This one says use your calculator, plug in 13. I'm trying to see if there's anything in here that's kind of, okay, enter the data. You know how to enter the data in Desmos, right?
Yes.
You use your plus sign at the top left and type the information in, remember? Okay, but now remember you got this so we can go back and walk through it. You can walk through it while you listen to it on YouTube, right? Okay, all right, plug in 10. And then answer part B.
And where we see the link for YouTube at?
I gotta send it to you.
Oh, okay.
All righty, so there is the percentage of households with internet access. Just like what we did. It's the exact same problem. All righty. This one, you're throwing a ball up in the air. It's asking you again, how big should the window be? One of the questions in there is how big should the window be? And it wants to know where's the maximum height of the ball. Is every ball you throw gonna stay up in the air? No, it's gonna reach its maximum height and then it's gonna come back. So whatever point, if you type that equation that you see in Desmos, it's gonna give you a curve that looks like this. Because you're throwing a ball. So again, try it out. Let me see what you think. What's today? Wednesday. So when am I gonna see you guys again? So you got how much time to practice? You got, till Monday again, right? Okay, did everybody sign my sign-in sheet? Everybody sign the sign-in sheet? Come. Oh, go ahead.
I thought it was one from last semester, but I went back to that one. That was a lot, so I'm not in the wrong
No, it
one.
says, no, you in the right one.
Yeah, just see, look at yours and look at mine.
You mean the order of the problems are different?
Even the
Hold on.
numbers, yeah.
The numbers are gonna be different. So yeah, you should have different numbers from mine, but the problem should be the same.
So, that's how everybody math like that?
Yes. So no, yours not gonna be the same because they want you to.
Key plugged in, I'm like, I'm not getting the right answer on that first one.
Right.
That's
So
what-
again, it's gonna be the same problem, but yeah, your numbers are gonna be slightly different from mine. See how I got a 78, you got a 56?
Okay, I just want to make sure I had the right.
You're right,
that one.
but the
Okay.
process is the same.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so you're good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just thought something was wrong
All righty.
from earlier.
Question number 7, the decimal thing. You said something less time?
Let me see. In this one, number 7, let me see.
Yeah, this one.
I'm saying in Desmos, you gotta go type all these in Desmos.
Oh, that, okay, I see what you're saying.
in the graphing tool.
Okay.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Maurice, are you good?
Yes, I got
Okay.
everything, that's why I didn't spec up.
It was-
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
I think I'll be good, ma'am. He sent me a screenshot of the code, so all I need to do is go plug it in. Cause I couldn't get in there. It
Are you
kept
going
saying
through
invalid.
you
Like-
bought your access code from the bookstore?
I already been
Okay,
in
you
that
did all of
first week
that.
class.
Okay.
But I've been trying to get in, so I try to use a different computer.
Right. You
Long
did all
story
the,
short, he sent me a screenshot of the code, so that's pretty much all I needed. Cause my code wasn't working.
okay, okay.
I should be good.
All righty, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me know.
Excuse me.
By chance, could you email me the syllabus again? I
Yeah.
can't find it. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was in
What was your last name again? So I make sure. Dorsey. Because I'm just gonna put it
maybe
right here.
yep.
Latalia?
Yep.
Okay. Send syllabus.
Thank you so much.
All right, gotcha. Thank you. Were we okay with, what, did that start to,
And I think you mentioned it during last class as far as understanding everything in the word problem as far as the words and what everything means.
Right.
So the correspondence was throwing me off. I wasn't thinking about, okay, just the simple form, subtract the two numbers, and then you can get it versus like you were doing the long form, writing everything down.
Right,
So I
right.
broke it down that way.
you were okay? Okay, all right, that's fine.
I just wanna say I haven't purchased my math manual yet.
Okay.
I promise I'll knock all of this out.
Okay, but you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You do, okay, just trying to make sure.
No, I mean, I pretty much got it figured out now. That's
Are you guys okay? Y'all get it? Okay. It's not too simplified, y'all not treating y'all like y'all babies.
yeah, and I have to, cause like he called me while I was at work.
I am gonna send you the link. Yeah, that's what y'all wait for the link. That means y'all
I mean, I should be.
class now.
He sent me a
Okay.
screenshot of my show. Of the information I need for my show, so.
Oh, I haven't even turned it off yet.
Okay. I'm gonna log in.